All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Hyrox prep. This is my Wednesday workout, which will include lower body strength. Today that will be barbell deadlifts, ascending ladder up, and then also a split squat variation. Just 2 movements for the legs. And the cardio piece for today will be 4 sets of a 5K on the bike with just a 1-minute rest in between. It'll be about 10 minutes of work, 1 minute of rest, doing that for 4 total rounds. That will be called a progressive interval, which is a fancy way of saying I'm starting out at a certain wattage, kind of low, and then for each successive set, I want that wattage to pick up. I'll talk about that a little bit on the voiceover when I hit that. And I really do enjoy, for the flow of my week, having Wednesdays as a no impact or really a no running day. Right now, I am running on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday consistently, and sometimes even on Sunday. So it's nice to have that break there on Wednesday, and doing those progressive intervals with something like a rower or a bike I have at home is just a really convenient way to still get some good endurance, but feel kind of fresh for the back half of the week. As I talked about in episode 1, my 2 main workouts are Tuesday and Friday. So today will still kind of be a hard session, don't get me wrong, but it's more strength focused and low impact on the legs. Tomorrow will be a long, easy effort, and Friday will be high intensity again. So we'll see that throughout the series, but I do think really your weekly structure can make or break you when you're trying to build good fitness. You want to make sure it's laid out in a good way to make sure your quality workouts you feel fresh for. So I don't do a ton of warming up for my strength pieces. I'm going to do 2 minutes on the bike, 2 minutes on the row, and then get into the barbell, start building up in some weight. Today will be 5 sets of 5 on the deadlift, ascending up. And honestly, the first couple of sets are glorified warm-ups, and the intensity is not super high. So this will be, probably do 2 warm-up sets, 135, 225, and then get into that ladder. And I do them on every 3 minutes. There's no particular reason for that other than it keeps me on task. So it's about a 2-minute rest usually in between sets when I include all of the warm-up. So just, of course, greasing the groove here. And I'm also, at least right now, ensuring to not use straps for this because I want it to help with my grip strength overall. Farmer carries is one of the movements in Hyrox. I rarely do grip specific stuff, if I'm being honest. So I'll include definitely some farmers as we get closer to the race, but it's just not a huge separator as far as the station. But I will certainly get some benefits from doing deadlifts with no straps. It won't work the glutes and hamstrings the same way, but again, I think it will be good overall for the purpose of the exercise. So I may just hit 2 reps here, and then we'll start my first working set. I think my heaviest last week was like 285 to 295. So I'm looking just to build a little bit heavier than that. All right, starting off here, 245, couple of sets double overhand, and then I will do a mixed grip on the last couple of sets because the gap for me is huge between those two. So this will be double overhand. Ooh. Yeah, that's already pretty hard on the grip. 60 here for that same 5. Really make sure the grip is locked in here. Set 2. All right. You probably saw that, but that's pretty much a 5 rep max with my double overhand grip. But as you will see, that is not anywhere close to an actual hard set of 5. So I'll mix up the grip here. That felt good. It's good to get some grip work in. Now we'll do a little bit more on the glutes and hams. 5, doing a mixed grip with my right arm under. Actually the opposite way to do it for powerlifting, but I actually did this to try to correct some of the imbalances just from like so many reps doing it with my left arm under, and we're getting after it. So this will actually be easier than the last set because of the grip here. Yep. That feels really good. Ultimately, you have to understand if you're doing a sport that the sport isn't deadlift, right? Powerlifting, that is the sport. So I really only care about a movement like a squat or a bench or a deadlift in so much of how does it translate into Hyrox. So I'm not saying some people can't deadlift heavy and it may not help, but for me, my Hyrox time is not going to be predicated upon how much I can deadlift for 1 rep. So differences here, I'm not even using a belt. I'm controlling the eccentric quite a bit. I'm doing a conventional stance. I think that definitely mimics a sled pull, more of an athletic position than sumo deadlift. And for sure, also keeping my technique and my back flat, that standard way, way higher doing it with like this. It's really an accessory exercise, right? Versus, again, powerlifting, the goal is how much can I do here. So again, if you're training for a Hyrox, or you can apply this to a lot of other sports, right? If you're a football player, power clean isn't on the field, you know. Only way you should care about your power clean is how does it translate into your actual sport. At 290 for 5. Feels good. Feels familiar as well, especially with that left hand under. So 290, I'll probably go 305, another 15-pound jump. When I do these type of sessions, the goal is to keep that kind of slot the same. So this is again, a 5x5 deadlift, an ascending ladder. And all I'm gonna look at is like, okay, week 1, start off kind of conservative, maybe 185, 225, 245, 265, 285, whatever. Then I have a baseline, right? And it's so key to repeat workouts, to repeat slots like that. So now when I come into, this is week 3, I know what I did in week 1, what I do in week 2, I'm just trying to beat each set. And for this is like, I think will be like 20 pounds more than what I did last week. And for the last time, again, Hyrox is not a strength sport. I'm not trying to maximize my deadlift strength, But I do want to see progression. I lift for 6 weeks straight. I want to see that improving over the course of those 6 weeks to build strength and intensity. So that's enough chatting. That's my mark. Nice. Now it's a wrap. So still no belt, pretty conservative, but that's hard. That's not a easy strength piece. So we'll tear this down. Gonna hit a voiceover for the remaining section of this workout. So this is a mouthful, but it's a front foot elevated Bulgarian split squat. You see the wedge on the front foot, of course, but then on the back foot, just a very small elevation there, just enough to make sure my hip flexor doesn't get too involved. And I really like this. Typically I do it with a higher elevation, and I just had a better my muscle connection on my front quad here. Showing my rest period here for a good reason. I find way too many people try to hold on to dumbbells the entire time. And honestly, I think if you can do that, you're probably not training your legs to a great intensity. Like your grip just has to go out. You're holding the dumbbells for like 2 minutes straight. So always recommend that you rest 20, 30 seconds, even if you're not tired, just to make sure your grip and you don't rush through the reps on the other leg. So I was doing about 8 to 10 reps per side here, starting with the non-dominant leg, and for me ending on the left leg. And the tempo, and it just kind of felt great. And this was my third and final set. I believe it was 60 pounds per hand for 9 reps per side. And I commonly do pair a split squat variation with a deadlift because I don't really like to squat and deadlift on the same day. It's just really taxing, to be honest. And then we move into the bike piece. I'm not going to have you watch me sit on a bike for 40 minutes, but the workout today was, again, 4 sets of a 5K with only, I believe, a 1 or 2 minute rest. I'll put it on the screen. And these were meant to be progressive. So my wattage, my average watts on each of these went 154, 171, 185, and finally 233. So that makes sure you're building intensity throughout those intervals and you're not crashing and burning. And looking back at those 4 sets, I may have been a bit too conservative to start with a 233 watt at the end. I probably think, okay, I could have went a little bit harder on that first or second interval. This was the first time I had done a piece like this, but I always think it makes sense to start off a little bit conservative. And then for me, that last interval was quite a bit faster. It was about a 50 watt improvement from the third set. And most importantly, I will be doing this workout again. So I know my average wattage was 183. So maybe I shouldn't start at a 150 to begin the workout. Maybe I start at like a 160 or a 170 and try to build from there. And this was a wrap for the Wednesday session, the deadlift for strength, single leg split squat, and then about 40 minutes total of intervals on the bike. So you can see the theme here, some pure strength work with the lower body, and then also some low impact work with these intervals. So I won't keep this the same as far as the bike, but I'll do bike, row, ski, maybe swim. The idea is it's a lower impact way to get some cardio work in and still build some endurance. It feels very different than doing lunges and burpee broad jumps and running and things that are a bit more taxing on your joints, your ligaments, and also just mentally for a lot of us is taxing to do every single day. So that's it for this episode. Until next time.